Hi everybody, I'm Nam.
And I'm Jeremy. Today we're going to be teaching you how to play Dominion. It's a 2008 game by Donald X. Vaccarino. It's the game that sort of originated what's called the deck building mechanic.
Anyway, I don't know if we're qualified to teach this game. I taught a bunch of drunk dudes how to play this at PAX Prime, I think it was 2009, at 4 in the morning Pacific Coast time, and I'm an East Coaster. The goal of this game is to obtain as many victory points as you can. The victory point cards are pretty much green cards that denote how many victory points you have. So some of them have different numbers, but we'll talk about those specifically later.
They say victory on the bottom.
They say victory. This is how the typical gameplay goes. Everybody starts with 10 cards. They're going to start with 3 victory points, which are each called an estate, and 7 copper. And throughout the course of the game, you're going to get the opportunity to add more cards to this deck. So the cards that you purchase for your deck, you will get to use later. So the phases of the game are, if you remember the alphabet, you can remember this. A, B, C, D. You can remember that, you remember what to do during your turn. A is action. If you were to have any action cards in your hand, you may play one.
You'll have the opportunity to play a single action card from that hand. If I had any action cards, like that one right there, or that one that says action on the bottom, I could play that, do what it says.
So that's A for action.
After my action phase, I can buy one of the multitude of cards out there. For your buy phase, after your action cards that you've played are done, you're going to take any treasure cards you have in your hand, you're going to play those out. Whatever total money you have, you can use to buy cards out in the bank. It could be treasure cards, victory point cards, action cards. You only have one buy, so you can only buy one card at a maximum price of the money that you put out.
When you buy a card, you take it from the supply pile that is on the table, and then you put it in your discard pile.
The key part of the deck building game is when you buy something, it goes to the discard, but it's going to join your deck, because anytime you need to draw a card and there's no card left to draw, you're going to take your discard pile, you're going to shuffle it up, and that becomes your new draw pile.
B for buy. C is clean up.
And then at the end of my turn, and this is the unique part of deck building games, I'm going to have my cleanup phase. Cleanup phase basically means everything I bought goes in my discard. Everything I played goes in my discard. Everything left in my hand goes in my discard.
And then D is you draw back up to your hand size of 5 cards.
I'm going to draw 5 cards back up to my hand size. All right, now we're going to go over the basic card types in a little more detail. Again, victory point cards, they're these nice big green cards with a big number on them. You'll notice they don't say anything other than the number, because that's all they do. They win you the game, but they don't make your deck very active. So if all you do is spend your low amounts of money from the beginning of the game on the lowest amount of victory point cards, your deck's going to slow down because you're going to be drawing 5 victory point cards and can't buy anything and can't do any actions. So part of the game is getting an engine, an economy set up, and then buying the victory point cards.
Treasure cards. Now, each game, you start with 7 coppers. These cards are worth 1 money for buying from your hand, but in order to buy them, they cost 0 money. Note that if you wanted to get more of these, you would have to spend buys on them. The other pieces of money are bigger. This is a silver. It is worth 2 money for buying things, but it actually requires 3 money in order to purchase it to put in your deck. And then the best piece of treasure in this set of 3 here is a gold treasure card. This is worth 3, but it costs 6 to actually get one. So that's how valuable gold is.
You'll notice Nam hit upon that all of the cards in the lower left-hand corner have the cost of the card. The key thing to notice with the treasure cards is what their spending power is worth is different from what they're worth to buy. Now, we'll go on to action cards. Now, action cards are much more complex than the other cards. They usually have a multitude of things written on them. But here's a nice simple one. This one is Village. Costs 3 to buy, and then it has 2 lines of text on it. So when I play it as an action, I'm going to do the lines of text, always go from the top down to the bottom. The first one is +1 card. Whenever it says plus any number of cards, that means you're going to draw that many cards from your deck. And then it says +2 actions. Remember how we said in action phase, you can only have 1 action. This gives you 2 more in addition to this card. So after I play this card, I've used up 1 action, but I've gained 2 actions to use on other cards. So I could play the Village and then play other cards. For instance, I could play Woodcutter, which has the other 2 basic types of action text. The first one is +1 buy. That means in my buy phase, I'll be able to buy additional cards. Now, I still have a limited pool of money. Say I laid down 6 money. I could buy, if I had 2 buys, I could buy a village and another woodcutter because they're each worth 3, and I have 2 buys, so I can buy 2 cards.
Note that on action cards, the cost is also in the bottom left-hand corner. So the cost for all cards, including victory cards, are also in the bottom left-hand corner. So that's how much it costs to put it in your deck.
And then the final basic type, and there's many other things that can happen, but the final basic type line on action cards is plus money. I'll have a little coin here. This is +2 coin. That means you have 2 additional money to spend during your buy phase. So say I only had 4 money in my hand, I put down the 4 money, plus this 2 from this action card being out. Now, if I played this card first, you notice it didn't have an action, so I wouldn't be able to play another one after it, like this village. But if I played the village first, then I can play the woodcutter. Now, other cards are going to get much more complex. For instance, Workshop. It's relatively simple, but it's gain a card costing up to 4.
In this case, it says gain a card that costs up to 4. So you can pick any card from the supply whose cost is less than or equal to 4.
Yeah.
And what you do is when you gain cards, you don't put them in your hand, you put them in your discard pile. So anytime you gain cards, unless the card otherwise specifies, you discard it.
For instance, mine explicitly says, I'm going to read mine to you. Trash a treasure card, we'll come back to that in a sec, from your hand. Gain a treasure card costing up to 3 money more, put it in your hand. So that's not going to go right in your discard, it actually says put in your hand. But we see a new word there, it says trash. Now, when we said discard pile before, that's your discard. Trash is different than discard. Trash is removing it from your deck. So, for instance, this card, if I had a silver in hand, a silver is worth 3. I could trash it, which means I take it and put it in the trash pile.
There's a separate card. That's the trash card, and you actually use this to denote cards that are removed from the game. You don't put them back in their supply piles. You put them in the trash pile to be out of the game.
Gone for the rest of the game. Now, gold costs 3 more. It's 6. So I could take a gold, and since mine said put it in my hand, I put it right in my hand.
How mine would work is you're allowed to upgrade your money. Copper is worth 0, silvers are worth 3, golds are worth 6. Each one is 3 cost difference between each other.
Finally, one thing to cover with action cards of the basic types are going to be attack and react cards. For this attack card, usually attack card, it'll say action attack on the bottom. What they'll do is they'll cause a response from your opponents in the game. For instance, say it was just me and Nom playing. It says here, Militia, +2 money, so I get +2 money for my buy phase. And then each other player discards down to 3 cards in their hand. So if Nom had 5 cards from drawing up to his 5 at the end of his turn, he's going to have to take 2 of those and put them in his discard to go down. I've basically restricted his resources by playing this card. As an opposing end,
if there is a card in your hand that is blue, and it'll also say action reaction, you can actually use that card in reaction to whatever it is. Usually it's in reaction to an attack or some other effect like discarding a card or something. But in this case, you just have to read the text in the bottom of the card to determine. So I'm going to read Moat to you. It's +2 cards when you play it as an action. But as a reaction, you don't do such things. As a reaction, it says, when another player plays an attack card, you may reveal this from your hand. If you do, you are unaffected by this attack. So in that example, Jeremy had played Militia on me. If I had 5 cards and I didn't have anything to react with, I would just have to discard down to 3 cards. But in this case, if I had my 5 cards and I had Moat in hand, I would reveal Moat and say, aha, I react to your attack. And what that is going to do is allow me to not get affected by Militia as per this reaction effect. But this card doesn't go away. It just remains in your hand so that you can use it again later, because all it said to do was reveal it.
now you're going to be building your decks and playing your cards and going around the table. The game ends when one of 2 things happen. Either 3 of these piles, 3 of these supply piles will empty. As soon as one of those piles empties, the person whose turn it is finishes their turn, game's over. The other ending condition is...
The largest victory point pile is called the Province pile.
The highest value victory point card, the Province. If that pile empties, then the game ends. Once the game's over, everyone's going to take their deck, their hand, their discard, their deck, put it all together, pull out all the victory point cards, count up their points, and whoever has the most points wins.
There are other point cards, such as this one. It's Curse. It subtracts from your score at the end. When you set up a game of Dominion, you're going to want to put out the victory cards and treasure cards. Treasure cards, you put basically the whole piles that you have because they theoretically shouldn't be able to be emptied. With the victory point cards, depending on how many people are playing, but basically for the basic game, you should have 12 of each. 12 estates, 12 duchies, and 12 provinces.
For 3 or 4 players.
For 3 or 4 players.
If there's 2 players, you do 8 of each pile. Curses, if you have anything that involves curses, the number of curses is basically the number of players minus 1 times 10. It sounds confusing, but if there's 2 players, you put 10 curses down. There's
so
3 players,
you put 20.
If there's 4 players,
put 30.
There you go.
Okay. The other piece of setup is that all of the action cards, or sometimes you'll have some other cards out there, they are all part of the kingdom. You always choose 10 different kingdom cards to put in your kingdom as games. So these could be 10 different action cards. Sometimes there's another victory point card in there that's not one of the 3 basic ones.
Because you choose a fresh set of kingdom cards each game, it adds a lot of variety to the game because you're only going to put 10 out at a time. So for those mathematicians out there, you can probably figure out that there's a lot of different various combinations, which leads to the variety of the game. All of the expansions for Dominion basically just give you more kingdom cards, so it gives more variety and more fun for this game.
They don't just give you kingdom cards. There's a couple expansions that give you more treasures, and they'll also give you more victory cards as well.
We mentioned selecting the cards for each individual game. The back of the booklet will give you recommended sets of cards. Right now we're going to use the first time game set, and that's what we're going to use to play the game. But once you've gone through the sets in the rule book, all the cards in the back are kind of a tealish color. You're going to get 1 card of each kingdom card in a dark blue color. You can make what's called a randomizer deck. Shuffle up that deck, draw 10 off the top, you can do a completely random game. But we're just doing that first time play game. So if you have the game, the cards are going to be Moat, Cellar, Village, Workshop, Woodcutter, Remodel, Militia, Smithy, Mine, and Market. And Nam, why don't you go first?
Well, now we would like to play a game just so you guys kind of see what's going on. And we'll kind of talk through what we're doing, and hopefully it goes through well. Alright, so at the beginning of the game, we each start with 5 cards in hand, because that's our normal starting hand size. Alright, so I'm going to reveal my first hand being 4 copper. 1, 2, 3, 4. And having estates in your hand it's kind of useless because they don't do anything during the game. They only give you points at the end when it's over. Alright, I think my first move is going to be, I'm going to purchase a Smithy.
Alright. I have no actions, so I skip to the buy step. I put out 3 copper, I have 3 money, and I'm going to get a silver, which costs 3. Add it to my discard, scoop up my hand and everything I played, put it in my discard, draw 5 cards.
Alright. I forgot to skip my first action, but I obviously don't have any action cards yet, because the one that I purchased is currently sitting in my discard pile. So, skip my action, go to my buy phase. I have 3 coppers, which means I have 3 money. Oh, something important to note for newer players. When you actually buy something, you don't turn in your money to get something new. You just keep it. This just gives you a number, and then when you're done, you discard it all so that you'll have it in your deck later. But this just tells you what you can buy for the turn, so you don't actually trade it in.
Think of treasure cards as infrastructure. You're building your kingdom up, and your village has, an economy to produce things.
So I'm going to use my 3 to purchase a silver. I take the purchase card, put it in my discard pile. Then I clean up all the cards that I played and cards in my hand, put in my discard pile, and now I have no cards in my deck. So I reshuffle my discard pile, and then I have a new deck, and then I draw 5 new cards.
Alright, again, no action cards, but I have 4 money this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to buy a Militia.
Okay, so skip my action because I don't have any action cards in my hand. And I have a silver, copper, 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 so it's a total of 5 money. I'm going to spend all 5 to purchase a mine. Discard the mine, discard all the cards in my hand and all the cards I played, and draw 5 more. Go ahead.
Alright, I'm going to play Militia. Each other player discards down to 3 cards in hand.
Okay, I have 5 cards in hand, and I don't have anything to react with, so I'm going to discard these 2 cards.
Ouch.
I discard 2 estates, which perfectly fine with me.
And didn't really work well for me, but plus 2 money there. So I have 2 money extra, plus 2 from a silver, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to buy a gold, which is 6.
It's a good buy. Alright, I have no actions in hand, so I'm going to reveal my 3 copper and play them, and use 3 to purchase a village.
I have 3 and 2 estates, so I'm also going to buy a village.
Copycat.
Yeah, that's right. 1, 2, gonna shuffle.
Same here. So at certain points of the game, you'll find that basically you're shuffling a lot. It's okay, this is normal. I'm going to play, for my action, Smithy. I'm going to draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Now, unfortunately, I do have another action in hand, but Smithy only reads +3 cards, which means it does not give me an additional action to play.
That's
so
a shame.
it is a shame. Alright, so I'm going to reveal my silver, copper, 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 so I have 5 money to purchase something. I'm going to purchase a market.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on, because I have 6 money and I'm also going to buy a market.
Dude, you should have bought a gold.
No, I like a market.
Alright, fine. Alright, my turn. I'm going to play a village. +1 card, +2 actions. So for the first village, I'm going to draw a card. And then I do have +2 actions. Now, here's the thing. When you were given more actions, you don't have to use them, especially if you don't have any cards in hand. You can't. So, same thing with additional buys. You don't have to use them, but they give you the option. I'm going to reveal 4 copper, so that means I have 4 money. And I'm going to be purchasing a village.
Village, +1 card, +2 actions. I have no more actions, but I have 5 money. I'm going to buy a market.
Okay, so now this is where the fun begins, because I've drawn a hand with a bunch of cards that will allow me to play off of each other. So I'm going to play Village for my first action. It says +1 card, +2 actions. So I get to draw a card, which I just did, and I get 2 more actions. I'm going to play another Village, will allow me to draw a card, and I get 2 more actions. I'm now going to play a Market. So with more actions and more cards, you can kind of chain things. This will give me a card and +1 action and a buy and a money. I'm now going to play a Mine. Mine says trash a treasure card from my hand. I'm going to put a copper in the trash pile. And then I'm going to put a silver, because copper does cost 0, silver costs 3, so that's 3 difference. And remember, Mine said, gain a treasure card costing up to 3 more and put it into your hand. So I put this into my hand. Then I'm going to show that I have the silver, copper, 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 so that's 5 in treasure cards, but I also get the +1 from market, so I have 6. I will use my 6 to purchase a gold. So I put the gold on my discard pile, all the treasure cards, all of the action cards into the discard pile, and then draw 5 new ones.
My turn's significantly more boring. Village, +1 card, +2 actions. Draw my card. Militia!
Okay.
Each other player discards down to 3 cards.
I'm going to have to discard 2 cards. I'll discard an estate and a copper.
Nah, that's not so bad.
Not too bad.
So 2 from Militia, a copper for 3, and then a gold for 3 more. Now I'll get another gold.
6. Alright. I'm going to play Smithy. It's +3 cards. 1, 2, 3. 4 money. I'm going to have silver, copper, copper. And I'm going to purchase a silver.
Alright. Market, +1 card, +1 action, +1 buy, +1 money. So the +1 card. I don't have any more action, so 1 from market, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to buy a mine.
Okay, 5 cards, my turn. I'm going to show 2, 4, 5, silver, silver, copper. I'm going to purchase a market. Put that in my discard pile and all the cards that I had.
Market. Market. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, here's the thing. Market gives me plus buys. So right now I have 3 buys and 7 money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a market for 5, which means I have 2 money left. And then I'm going to buy a cellar. And I'll go over what cellar does when I draw it.
I'm going to play a village, +1 card, +2 actions. I'm going to play Smithy, +3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Now remember, I had +2 actions from the village, so just because I played Smithy, which didn't give me any, doesn't mean I'm stopped, because I still have 1 action. So I'm going to play a market, +1 card, +1 action, +1 buy, +1 money, and then I'm going to play a mine. And now I'm going to trash a copper once again for a silver.
Alright.
And now what I have in hand is a gold, which is 3, silver is 2, so that's 5. It's copper, 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 6, 7, 8, 9 with the market.
2 buys.
And 2 buys. Nobody's purchased a province yet. I don't know if I want to break hearts, but I will purchase a gold, a village.
Alright. Village, +1 card, +2 actions. Militia.
Oh no, I gotta finish drawing my hand first. This is important because even though you're still shuffling, you should have had your 5 cards at the end of your turn before we resolve any effects that affect your hand.
While he's doing that, Militia's 2 money, and then I'm going to have 3, 4, plus 6 is 10, but I only have 1 buy.
This is going to hurt. I'm going to discard 2 copper.
So I'm going to buy the first province. Provinces are worth 8, by the way.
Cost 8, worth
Cost
6.
8. They're worth 6 victory points. Touche.
All right. Going to play a village. Draw a card, plus 2 actions. Play a Smithy. Draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to reveal gold, silver, silver, copper, copper, which is 9 money, which is more than enough for a province.
I'm going to play mine, trash a copper, gain a silver, put it into hand by what mine says. Reveal 3 money. I'm going to buy a village.
Okay. I'm going to play a village, plus 1 card, plus 2 actions. Then I'm going to mine and trash a silver for a gold.
Aren't
The
we
gold goes
fancy?
in my hand. Very fancy. I don't see you trashing silvers for golds. 5, and I will use 5 to get a market.
We're going to village, plus 1 card, plus 2 actions. And then we're going to mine. We're going to put a copper in the trash, pull a silver out, and then I have 8 money. Gold, gold, silver. So that's 8. I'm going to buy another province.
Well played. I'm going to play a village, draw a card, plus 2 actions. And then I'm going to play a market. Now, even in mid-turn, I've run out of cards on my deck, but I have to draw cards. So I reshuffle my discard pile now, and then that becomes my new deck.
There is, now while he's doing that, there is the potential that all of your cards are played out or in your hand. You don't put cards that were played already into the draw pile to draw more. I've actually played all of my deck with so many like markets or plus card draw and stuff like that, that I go to draw more and I just can't anymore.
Yeah.
That
Once you
can
run out,
happen.
once you've run out, you've run out.
Yep.
That just means you better make sure you can buy things still. Alright, so I draw a card off of the market. Then I'm going to play another market, draw a card off of that market. Then I'm going to play another market, draw a card off of that market. So you can kind of see how it goes. So I'm going to have 3 money from markets, and then 3 money from this gold, 3 other money from this other gold. So that's 9 and 10. So I have 10 and
4 buys.
4 buys, but I'm only going to use 2 of them. So I'm going to use 1 for a province, and then I'm going to use, sorry, I'm going to use 8 for a province. 8 money and 1 buy for a province. Sorry, I just have to specify all the terms. There's too many terms.
Fine.
It's not that many. I'm just kidding. And I'm going to purchase a Cellar with another buy, with the other remaining one.
You know what number isn't lucky in Dominion? 7. 2, 4, 6, 7. Why? Because gold costs 6 and the highest action card in the base set is 6. And then provinces are 8. So 7 is a dead number. So with my dead number, I'm going to buy Militia, even though it's only worth 4.
He just wants one, I guess.
Because I just want a Militia.
Yeah. Who doesn't? I
I
have my
wasn't.
own personal militia. I mean, imagine the things I could do with it. I'm going to play a Smithy, plus 3 cards. Then I'm
Okay,
going
we're
to...
all action cards.
Yeah, you know. That's okay. 2, 4, 5, 6. So silver, silver, copper, copper. And 6 to purchase a gold.
Village, plus 1 card, plus 2 actions. Market, plus 1 card. Market, plus 1 card. Market, plus 1 card. Let's see. I have 2 actions left still, because the village gave me 2, and then the markets all gave me 1. So I'm going to go Militia.
Okay. I'll have to discard 2 copper from my hand.
All right. Then I'm going to play Cellar. Now, Cellar also gives plus 1 action, and then I can discard any number of cards, plus 1 card per card discarded. So I'm going to play the Cellar, and then I have 3 cards in hand. I'm going to discard all 3. So I draw 3 to replace it. Oh, and there's not enough.
And there's only 2.
There's only 2.
So he's going to have to reshuffle even in mid-action.
Yep. Hey, look, a village. Plus 1 card, plus 2 actions. And then a mine. We'll do trash a copper, gain a silver in hand. So then I have 3 money in hand, copper and silver. I have 3 money from market, so that's 6. And then I have 2 money from a militia. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I also have 4 buys. So let's see here. What do I want to do? I'm going to buy a village and a militia.
Oh, I see. I see what your game's going for.
That's right. I'm going there.
I'm going to play a village to draw a card. And I get a plus 2 action. Play another village to draw a card. Once again, I have no cards in my deck, so I have to reshuffle. Now, just as I know in most other card games there's a common courtesy to offer to cut, but just randomize your cards and don't cheat, and, you know, offering to cut will just slow the game down, so.
This game works well because it moves nice and smooth, plays nice and quickly. Even with us talking, you'll notice the game is moving pretty smoothly here.
Yeah. And to be honest, this is supposed to be a casual game you play with your friends. If you're playing competitive Dominion, well, you shouldn't be watching this video.
I played competitive Dominion.
Yeah, but we're making the video.
Touche.
We're not watching it. I mean, I'm going to have to watch it like 20 times later anyway.
Touche.
You're right, I'm a noob. I'm going to have to watch it 20 times later.
Well, that too.
Sure,
But, you know.
I have 5 money. 5. What does one do with 5?
You can get a douche.
No, I believe I'm going to purchase a remodel.
Oh no, not again.
And that is, yeah. We'll tell you later.
In response, I play Militia.
Okay. I will discard an estate and a copper.
So 2 money for Militia, and then I have 2 gold, so that's 8. I'm going to buy a province.
Oh, he's doing real good. Alright, I'm going to play Market. +1 card, +1 action, +1 buy, +1 money. And then I'm going to play 2 golds, which means I have 7. Unlucky 7! But I do have 2 buys, so I can do something with that potentially. I'm going to purchase a remodel and a village.
I have no action cards. I have 2 silver, so that's 4. I'm going to buy a village.
Playing an action, market gives me more actions and a card. Play another market, gives me an action and a card and more buys and money and all that fun stuff. Then I'm going to play a mine, and I'm going to trash a silver to grab a gold, putting it in my hand as per mine. And then I'm going to play all the treasure cards in my hand, which is 2 golds, 2 coppers. That's 8, and then I have 2 markets, 9, 10, and I have 2 buys. So, purchase a province and an estate.
Village. +1 card, +2 actions. Militia!
Okay, going to discard an estate and a copper.
Oh, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 buy. So that's
7 money.
7 money again. That's about right.
Unlucky 7.
I'm gonna buy a Duchy. It's a Duchy, but it's a Duchy.
Now, in larger games, when players who haven't purchased enough provinces find that they need victory points because the game's about to end, I like to call this time Duchy Panic Time, as coined by some other friends of mine from some documentary movie I saw at PAX. Duchy Panic Time. Buy duchies. All right.
Duchy Panic Time can win you the game.
DPT! It works, though. Okay, Village. Draw a card, +2 actions. Smithy, +3 cards. Whoops, you didn't see that. 1, 2, reshuffle. I need to draw a good action. Last card. I have a total of 4 money. I'm going to purchase a Smithy.
Alright. Market, +1 card. +1 action, +1 buy. Village, +1 card, +2 actions. Militia!
I'm going to discard an estate and a province.
Ah! So, 1, 2. 1, 2 for Militia, 1 for Market, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7 again.
Curses! We're gonna buy another Duchy.
Now, as a general thing to keep in mind, remember you only get the 5 cards every turn, but you can draw more. But if you don't get bigger money, you will not be able to reach the higher thresholds of cost.
Making a comment on my play here?
No.
I think you might be.
I'm going to play a Village. Draw a card. +2 actions. I'm going to play a Village. Draw a card. +2 actions. This is like really paltry what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to play... So horrendous. I'm going to play a Remodel and remodel a copper. Oh, let me go over Remodel first. Remodel says, trash a card from your hand. So it doesn't have to be a treasure card like mine says. It could be any card. Then gain a card costing up to 2 more than the trash card. So the trash card that I put away was a copper. So that's 0. So I get to gain something that costs 2. Lucky for me, estates are worth 2. However, I feel like I'm losing, so I need to start getting victory points whenever I can at this point.
Village, +1 card, +2 actions. Village, +1 card, +2 actions. Mine. We're going to mine a copper into a silver. Put it in my hand, because that's what mine says. And then Militia!
I'm going to discard a province and a silver.
Alright, I got something at least. So 1, 2 for Militia, and then another silver and another silver, so that's 6 total. 1 buy. I'm gonna go with a market.
That's actually what I was thinking. I'm gonna play a village, +1 card, +2 action. Okay, here we go. I'm going to play a Remodel, which is that same card I played last turn. I get to trash card. I'm gonna trash a gold. Gold costs 6. So now I get to gain something that costs 2 more than it, which happens to be a province. I'm gonna get all that. I'm gonna buy nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing to buy.
Market, +1 card, +1 action, +1 buy, +1 money. Cellar, I'm going to discard 3 cards, 3 estates, and draw 3 cards. 1, 2,
By the way, that last turn that you played the Militia, where I had to discard 2 victory cards, I actually had a Cellar in hand. So he actually messed up my hand because I was going to get 2 more cards.
Okay, that was awesome. I like that. I didn't realize you bought a Cellar.
I did.
Did not pay attention. All right, so I needed to draw 1 more from the Cellar.
Correct.
Okay. And then we'll play Market, +1 card, +1 action, +1 buy. So I have 2 money from markets, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 money from gold. I'm going to buy the last province.
No.
Triggers the end of the game.
All right, so that was the end of his turn, and I don't even get a turn because end game conditions.
Basically, the way it works is if someone got an unequal amount of turns, say I started, if we tie, then whoever had the least number of turns wins. But Nom went first, so we each got an equal number of turns.
Yes.
So if we tie, it's a tie.
We're not going to tie. I know Jeremy won. Well, that and you got a couple duchies in there. I didn't, so.
I was going to say, no, we bought the same number of provinces.
Really?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 provinces.
I have
you have
4
4
provinces.
Okay. And I have 5 estates. So that will put my score 6. Provinces are worth 6. So 6 times 4 is 24. And so I have 29 total.
I have 33 total.
33 total. So
victory!
Yes. Was it 4-point difference?
4-point difference.
4-point difference. So yeah, I could have, if I just bought a duchy or 2 somewhere along the line, I could have been ahead, but I didn't. So.
But you didn't.
I didn't. A couple of general strategies. Card drawing is good if you play any other card games. Card drawing is totally beneficial. Also, deck thinning. The thinner your deck is, if it's filled with only good stuff, you'll draw good stuff every turn. Good stuff being good action cards or big money cards.
Which makes mine a powerful card. Because you're not just gaining a higher level of money, you're getting rid of the crappier money. There will be an initial pull when you first start playing the game to go, oh, I have extra buys, I'll just buy all these coppers that cost 0. Copper's good. The problem is if the more coppers I have in my deck, if I have a deck with nothing but coppers, the most money I'll ever have when I draw my hand is 5. So
and most of the good stuff costs 6 or greater, i.e. golds and provinces. So
I was going to say, you can buy a lot of duchies that way.
I suppose.
But then you're going to have duchies and coppers, so the chances are you're going to have 4 money or 3 money, and then you can't even buy the duchies. So that's something to consider. Which is why a card, it's not in this opening set, but one of the cards that focus a lot of strategies is a card called Chapel in the first set. It costs 2. You play it, there's no plus action, no plus card. It just says trash up to 4 cards in your hand. I will admit, the first time I played this game, I looked at that card and went, what?
Why would you do that?
Who would play this? However, nowadays when I play, if there's Chapel in there, I'll usually get Chapel on an early turn and go, Chapel, oh, here's 3 estates and a copper.
The earlier you can get rid of a lot of cards that suck, then the better your deck's going to be.
Yeah. Say there was an action card like Smithy. Smithy was good early, but I don't want it later. I play it to Chapel, get rid of it, and then I don't have to worry about it mucking up my hand later. The problem is you can't get rid of all your muck-up hand cards because your provinces muck up your hand too. And
you want to keep those.
Trashing your provinces may not be the smartest thing in the world. So,
yeah. Oh, there's this one time that I was playing with her and a friend of mine, and they saw me trash a couple of cards really early, right in the beginning of the game, because I bought something that trashed, and then I trashed 2 estates, and then I trashed 2 coppers. So basically, what ended up happening was I obliterated them in this game because they underestimated how powerful deck thinning was. What you guys saw me do is remodel. Now, this is just one of the cards that shows how creative you can be with the game. I was able to trash a gold to get provinces, so I wouldn't need to use a buy. I wouldn't even need to have enough money. I would have just needed to have the gold at province in hand. But what I've seen some people do is because there's a fixed number of provinces in the pile every game. If you're ahead or if you're even close to the front, what you can do is play something like Remodel, trash a province to get another province. You'll have the same number of provinces at the end, but it'll reduce the number of provinces that everybody else can get.
Keep in mind, for that remodel thing, remodel does say gain a card costing up to 2 more. There are some cards that do a similar effect, trash a card, get a new card, but it'll say exactly 1 more or exactly 2 more. You wouldn't be able to do the trash a province to gain a province strategy if it said exactly. The card wording is pretty clear, but make sure you follow it exactly. Also, again, remember, if there's multiple things on the card, you start from the top and you go down.
The one thing you can do to be a better card player, read your cards.
Yeah. And then obviously, you saw I mainly won that game because of Militia. I attacked him, limited his resources. I didn't just limit his resources, I kept him off of, like near the end there, using Cellar to cycle through his deck faster. With
He took my hope and my dreams.
Okay, something to consider when it comes to attack cards. When you put out a random set of cards, if you have 5 or more attack cards, you're probably going to re-randomize because that gets really ugly. B,
you can do it.
You can do it, it's just
going to be painful.
You're just not going to want to do it again. Militia is one of the nicest attack cards. That's something to consider. In some of the other sets, there you get some really nasty attack cards. But the next level attack card, basic one, is in the next set that's in the booklet is called Witch. That's where those curse cards we talked about come in. Witch gives curse cards to everyone else. Now you notice the curse card.
Which reads, which costs 5. It's an action attack. It reads +2 cards, and each other player gains a curse.
So they take the curse and they put in their discard pile. The thing with curses, you'll notice now you've seen us play the game, is they're not just minus victory points. If you draw them, they are dead weight in your hand, just like the victory point cards. Except they're even worse because they're minus points. Yeah. That's another aspect where something like Chapel or Remodel comes in really powerful, because a curse is worth 0, so you can potentially buy a curse, although no one would. You can, it costs 0, so I can use Remodel to turn it into an estate.
You trash the curse with this, and then you get something that costs up to 2 more.
Normally, I wouldn't want an estate, but if I can get rid of a -1 to turn it into 1, that's a 2-point swing. Considering that our game was 4 points, that says a lot.
That could have been huge. Yeah.
That could have been huge.
And definitely with more players, that would have been less opportunities per person to get points.
Also, another thing with moving down the card, there are some cards that will give you a choice of things. Make sure to read the card thoroughly and understand what the different choices are. They're usually separated by a semicolon, because some of the choices will have multiple steps. It may say, do A or B then C. That's something to consider.
Okay, so the original Dominion base set comes with 25 different kingdom cards. So if you assume each game is 10 random kingdom cards. If you're upper level mathematics, you can figure this out. 25 choose 10. Those are the distinctly different number of games that you can play. So each game is pretty much unique. That's a lot of games.
So when you have this many kingdom cards to choose from, lots of games.
Yeah, lots of games. So I have maybe about 4 or 5 expansions in here in addition to the base set.
I'm crazy and own all of the expansions.
So one of the expansions is called Prosperity. In that box, you will get a Platinum, which is basically a treasure card, but it is worth 5 when buying things, but it costs 9 to get. But that adds to the flavor of games, and also it adds the Colony Victory Point card, which is worth 10, but it costs 11 to purchase. The quote that they like to say is, 10 is the new 7 when you're playing with Prosperity. In Alchemy is another expansion. You get a new treasure card. It's called Potion. Now, this isn't worth any amount of money per se, but if you look at some of the Alchemy cards, for example, Alchemist, it has a cost of 3 and Potion. So these are the cards that you can interact with additional treasure cards that are different, that are kind of like that. Or you can interact with them like this. Apprentice, it only costs 5 to get, but if you read the text of the card, it says, +1 action, trash a card from your hand, you get +1 card per money that it costed, and +2 cards if it had a potion in its cost. So that's something that you can benefit from as well.
Some other mechanics, there is, in one of the newer expansions, Hinterlands, there is a when you gain this mechanic. For instance, these both cards have a part of, like this card, Embassy. +5 cards, discard 3 cards. So you're going to draw 5 cards, and then you have big hand, discard 3 of those hand. But it also says when you gain this, each other player gains a silver. So if you gain it either by buying it or by upgrading it from a model, you get it in hand, and then each other player gains a silver. So it doesn't cost. It only costs 5 for +5 cards, but you give the other players a bonus for getting this card.
You don't get it in hand when you gain it. It's just when you gain it.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, when you put it in your deck. I apologize. The other part is you can also flip that around too. When you gain this, each other player gains a curse. It's ill-gotten gains. It's only worth 1 money and it costs 5. But you give a curse to everyone when you buy it.
It's a treasure card, but it's a treasure card with an effect. So they're getting more creative with different types of cards.
Seaside. In the Seaside expansion, there's duration cards. Now this card is Merchant Ship. If you read it, it costs 5. It says action duration. Now and at the start of your next turn, +2. +2 money. What this means is when you play it, you're instantly going to get 2 money. Then when you clean up at the end of your phase, you don't clean that up. It stays in your play area. It stays there till the next turn, and the next turn you also get that +2 money, but you also don't use up an action slot from that as well.
Yeah, but at the end of that turn, then you
clean it up, yes. Yeah. One final important one to go over, bank. You'll notice when we talked about buy, we talked about playing your treasure cards out. I've played with a lot of people that would just go, oh, I have 3, they'll just show their hand. It's important for a card like bank. This has question marks on it. It costs 7 to buy, which is a lot, but there's a question mark in the value. When you play this, and it's a treasure card, so you don't play as an action. When you play this, it's worth 1 money per treasure card you have in play, counting this. So, if I played it alone, it would be worth 1. If I played a copper and then this, copper's worth 1, the bank would be worth 1 too, so I'd have 3 money. Then, if I played another bank after it, that would be worth 3. So this would be worth 6 money. As you can see, if you have a bunch of money in hand, this can add up really fast.
So, I mean, in the game that we showed you, it didn't really matter what order you played your money in, but with other expansions, the order does matter. So definitely keep that in mind.
Also, one other small mechanic that I want to hit: Throne Room. There's a few cards like this, but Throne Room, for particulars, you play it. Choose an action card in your hand. Play it twice. We'll grab one that we played earlier before. I say I have Smithy and Throne Room in hand, right? If I play Throne Room, I would attach Smithy to it, and I play that twice. So instead of drawing 3 cards, I would draw 6 cards. Now, even though this is 2 action cards, you're only really doing the Throne Room action, because you're choosing the action card. So you get to draw 6 cards. So a big beginner question is, what if I have 2 Throne Rooms in hand? Well, if I play 1 Throne Room, I can play another one and replicate it, but I'm playing that card twice, so I don't just play Smithy and draw 12 cards. I would need to play 2 different action cards. Yes. If I had 2 Smithies in hand, I could go Throne Room, Smithy, Smithy, and then for 1 action draw 12 cards.
So remember, this Throne Room doubles this one. So if the Smithy was associated with one of them, you'd get to play this one twice. But then you need another card, so you can't just play one 4 times because it's actually 2 separate instances of the second Throne Room.
It's a really nitpicky thing, but it's something that does well, it will come up at one point when you play with Throne Room.
We would like to do the first installment of Dominion Shuffle. Now, we just finished playing a tutorial game. What we're going to do in Dominion Shuffle is we're going to go over the strategies that we would use, what you could do with a given set of 10 cards. This particular set of 10 cards, if you watch the tutorial video, you know what they are, but let's just go over them again. So, in this particular set of 10, we have Moat, Cellar, Village, Workshop, Woodcutter, Remodel, Militia, Smithy, Mine, and Market. So, alright, so let's go over, let's say early game strategy. What would you do?
Well, early game strategy, before we even do early game strategy, I just want to look at, let's look at some of the relationships of the cards real quick. For instance, we have Moat out, which is possibly the most powerful reaction card in that it just nullifies any attack. So when I see Moat, I like to look at, well, what attacks are out here. Yeah. There's only the one attack of Militia. So if someone's going heavy on Militia, it might be worth going for Moat. However, if I get a bunch of Moats in hand, it's only +2 cards, it's kind of a muck-up. So unless I have a bunch of villages, you got to try to temper it based on what other people are doing.
Now, some of the things that people don't know is that cards that give +1 action, they'll allow you to keep on playing. But cards that give you +2 actions, now there's this action type that I call a terminal action. Basically, it's an action that doesn't grant any more actions. So
most cards are terminal actions.
Most action cards are terminal actions. So if you can find any cards that give you +2 actions, or more than 1 action, that means you can continue going, playing multiple terminal actions in a turn. So those work out really
You can make
well.
almost any card into a chain card, which is what I would call market.
Yeah.
Market, any card that's +1 card, +1 action, and then something else. Basically, you're going to be able to cycle through your deck. So play it, draw, play it, draw, play it, draw. But then with market, I'm always getting a money doing that. So I'm a big fan of the heavy market strategy. That's just me.
Yeah. So, also as part of a simple strategy, so the first 2 turns of the game, there's 2 types of hands that you can get. You can get the 3-4 money split or the 5-2 money split. So in this particular setup, I think if I had a choice, if I had the 5-2 split, you want to try and get mine really early.
Mine early is powerful.
The longer you have mine in your deck, that's more times you're going to see it. The more times you're going to be able to trade in your crappy money for better money. But if you have the 3-4 split, I think that's a tougher call for this particular. I personally, with that game, I went with the Smithy Silver because I always like to get a silver in the first 2 rounds if possible. And,
I went with Silver Militia.
Yeah.
So that shows I'm a little more aggressive player. If I would have done 2-5, 5 or 2, my choice definitely would have been Cellar to cycle through those early estates, and mine as well early. Mine is great early. Later, in our game just before, I got a mine kind of mid game, but I had a bunch of village and market going on. So
yeah, so it was pretty close, so it wasn't too bad. But okay, so yeah, and if you'd seen, I use Remodel in an interesting way. So if you can't get the money, use your remodels to trade in your gold for provinces. You get points that way.
Nam, you'd gotten Smithy. I hate Smithy. I hate Smithy really bad.
Why? Why do you hate Smithy? Smithy's awesome.
Because it's +3 cards, and unless I have a village here, unless I have that +2 actions, every time I play Smithy, I go draw, 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 action, action, action. Well, not only can I not play them this turn, that means I can't even play them until I go through the whole deck.
Yeah,
never fails.
Well, see, I don't know. I have had better luck with it. Most of the action cards in my deck were villages and markets, so they weren't terminal in the first place. Plus, if I initially started with a village or there was a village in there.
But if I play Smithy first and draw 3 markets, then those markets were already terminaled.
Right, that's true, yeah. Oh, well, also here's the thing, right? Because I went with these earlier than you, and you went with Militia instead. So, yeah, both Militia and Smithy were terminal actions. So I felt better about using it than you. Plus,
see, I like Militia also. Militia is a great attack card. There's a bunch of attack cards in the game, obviously, that discard down to 3. But this has the effect attached to it. Some will be card draw. Again, it's the Smithy thing. I know Torturer, for instance, will give you +3 cards and then it attacks everyone else. But again, if you play this your only action, you draw up an action card. It's not great. Militia is terminal, but you're not going to draw action cards. Gives you +2 money and you get the discard effect. It's pretty good, especially if you can layer it up with some villages.
In retrospect, because after I'd seen Jeremy get 2 militias, I think maybe I should have switched over to getting moats because it's almost the same effect as Smithy, but it would have been much more powerful to defend my hand against him. Because there were several times where he made me discard 1, maybe 2 coppers, and sure, it's only coppers, but the coppers are so important sometimes because they can take you over that threshold of 7 to 8 money.
2 cards that we did not buy in our starter game and in our preview game there. That I find most people hate. I never see people buy these. Workshop and Woodcutter. Woodcutter's +1 buy, +2 money. Workshop is gain a card costing up to 4. Nice part about Workshop is if there's something really good for 4, or something good 2-3 type thing. For instance, you want to load up on villages, that it can be okay. Remember also, gain a card costing up to 4. It doesn't say gain an action card. It is a card, so you could get silvers with this.
You could get estates too, but
it's a limit. Workshop can be limited, especially when there's other cards that you can gain a card costing up to this and do something else. And then Woodcutter, if Woodcutter has the +1 buy and +2 money, which is nice. If Market isn't in this set, I might buy some Woodcutter. But Market is just, it costs 2 more obviously, but it's just so much better.
Yeah, Market gives you so many more options. It's like variable. As a general thing that I tell newer players, if you don't know what to buy, just go with bigger money because you need bigger money to win. You don't necessarily need all these action cards to win. Although they help immensely if you know what to get. Part of it is just playing. But yeah, with each ecosystem of 10 cards, sometimes you might just have a single card with specific functions. As Jeremy was saying, these were the only ones that provided additional buys. If they weren't here, we would have no options for them. But each card is in its own right slightly distinctly different, so that there's no replicated ability really. So
there is a critical mass of money you can do. There's certain strategies, especially when you get something like prosperity going on, where you can almost be planning to, I'm gonna have so much money that I'm buying crap tons of stuff, and without any extra buy, then that's just worthless. It really stinks to have 14 money in hand and only 1 buy, and you go, I could get. I guess I'll just get a province.
Yeah. I mean, if you had 14 money, this is a strategy that I've seen people do with at least remodel and mine. So what they'll do is stock up on mines and anything that provides you with not terminal action, so village. So mines village early. They'll mine everything as much as possible up to the biggest level, and then they'll remodel all the golds away to be provinces. So they didn't have to buy any provinces; they could just trade up to them. But that's something clever that you could do. That's right. And newer card players might not realize how important an effect like Cellar could be. But as we explained earlier, you can get rid of those victory cards during the game to replenish your hand with other cards. But some people might not realize that.
A card like Cellar is why I really like to have at least 1+ buy card as I'm building up my economy. Market makes it easy, obviously. But as I was growing, I would buy at least 1 woodcutter. Because later, say I had 7 money, and I had 5, I'm going to buy some with 5. That extra 2 I can pick up a Cellar, because I know as the game is progressing, I'm going to be buying some provinces and some duchies, and I can use that Cellar to cycle through those provinces and duchies. Cellar is I would contend, much more powerful late game than it is early game.
I'll probably agree, yeah.
So that's why I like to have that extra plus buy, because it really stinks if I have like 6 money in hand to just use 1 buy on a 2 card, because I won at that point. But if I can throw it in as that extra buy, that extra value on top.
He had leftover money, so I was like,
leftover money for a Cellar is Cellar is great as leftover money spent.
And also, if people are familiar with the terms metagame, pay attention to your opponents and what they do. If nobody buys any of the attack cards on the table, you might not need to buy a moat. So, I mean, keep that in mind. But also be wary of, like, sneaky players who will buy one on the turn in their last in turn order before everybody has to shuffle their deck. So, that person could catch you off guard.
Also, if a general strategy, if no one's buying attack cards, start buying attack cards, because then you dictate the pace of the game.
Yeah. That's probably a good call. I'll agree.
If everyone's buying attack cards, I forget them and try to sprint and try to fight through the webs they're throwing at me. If everyone else is trying to sprint, you can bet I'm gonna buy some tripwires and some caltrops and throw them in front of their feet.
Now seriously, sometimes a lot of people don't like to play with huge numbers of attacks. Just get used to playing with stuff. That's why there's so many different cards. Get used to them. Duchy.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Alright, you ruined the banter!
I'm sorry!
You ruined the banter! I'm so upset!
We'll have bloopers. That's good.
Great. Speaking of that, the bloopers were pretty great in the video.
Yeah, didn't you love it? I'll start high 9 and then you say, okay, and then you can just jump right in. Too.
Jump right in,
okay.
Got it.
Alright, ready?
Alright.
Let me give it a try.
The problem is if you say discard, people forget draw.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do ABCD. Because then you gotta do ABCDD. Each turn. Oh, alright.
What you're going to start with is a deck of 10 cards. Everybody typically starts with the same deck of 10 cards. This usually consists of... It's always the same 10 cards.
There's no...
Alright.
There's no variation of the game that you don't say the same 10.
Alright. Okay.
Well, I was going to say, do we go over the card types now?
Main phases. Oh yeah, main card types. Oh yeah, let's go through all the main card types. Unless you have a card that says you can buy more than 1 each turn. Oh, I don't remember. Okay. Alright. What kind of things do you get at the market, Jeremy?
I get cards, buys, actions, and money.
I'll use it if I want. You don't have to. We'll see. Alright. Okay.
I was giving you banter.
I know. I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, that's good to know.
Okay, so, let's see, this is end-game condition. Hi, honey. Except for the latest one. He just hasn't gotten it.
Shh. Okay. They don't know that.
Alright, fine.
You're lowering my awesome quotient.
But we're not going to talk
Don't
about
confuse him. That pretty much says it all.